Earlier in the week, I told you about a Pew Research Center poll, which said that 56% of Americans were in agreement with the NSA surveillance that was revealed by Edward Snowden, while 41% of respondents said that they were against it. There were some initial shock to some people about those numbers and the high level of support for NSA surveillance as described. We now have more polls which show that there may have been something to questioning those initial numbers. We have a CBS poll which says that 58% of Americans disapprove of the NSA surveillance, 38% approve of it. If you say, what about in cases where the people being surveilled are suspected of terrorist activity, it reverses completely to where 75% approve. When asked if the government's collection of American phone records is necessary to find terrorists, a slight majority, 53%, say that it is. Now, that's interesting because presumably that is the point of it. But if you don't tell people that, they are against it. Another poll, the Gallup poll, can we even really trust Gallup after what happened in the election? Maybe not, but the same could be said about Pew. So I don't know that that tells us much. The Gallup poll says 53% of Americans they do not approve of the NSA surveillance and phone records collection. 37% say that they do approve. And then lastly, we have a Reuters Ipsos poll, which says that 31% of Americans would describe Edward Snowden as a patriot, 23% of Americans would describe him as a traitor, and 46% don't know, which really tells us there's not much of a difference between those who like or dislike what he did. Almost half just aren't sure about it yet.
Yeah, and I think everyone still needs to learn more about this, including us. I'm sure there's a lot more to come. So
I mean,
we'll
if we have a problem with this being legal, right? If we have a problem with the NSA surveillance of phone records being legal, let's look at other things that are legal and just as egregious and try to figure out why are people reacting much more strongly to this than to other things. And I think it's because this really feels palatable, or it feels tangible in how it affects people on a day-to-day basis. Do you realize what's in the tax code that provides insane benefits to super rich people who can afford to take advantage of these things? Yeah, I kind of do, but it seems far off, and it's not like in my day-to-day life. And, I have my job. I'm not super rich. I don't really know or care. It doesn't affect me. Wait a second. After I finish making my phone calls each month, Verizon sends a list of who I called to the government. That feels very tangible. And I think that the level of interest in this is affected by how tangible it feels.
Yeah, I guess anyone could, take a step back and say, this could be happening to me.
Right.
And there'd be nothing I could do to stop it. I mean, the tax evasion thing is a good one. And at the same time,
tax avoidance.
Tax avoidance.
Fair, yeah.
Look what is happening in like Guantanamo.
Right.
Like, do the vast majority of Americans care that people are being waterboarded there when they know that that's not going to happen to them?
The real question to me is if we look at any of these polls, if it's 60-40 in favor or 60-40 against surveillance, are those numbers even in the ballpark where if Edward Snowden is trying to catalyze people to make change on this issue, are 60-40 numbers in either direction enough to get people to really push for change? I don't know that they are. We'll see in the next few weeks and months.
And what kind of change are we going to get? I mean, currently...
That's another question.
Right.
But even if there will be activism around this in a significant way.